So we've all been there before. We've had these moments in our life where we're just pissed off at the world. We're so mad about our circumstances. And the problem is it can become a pattern in our life and we don't want to stay there. We want to stop that pattern and shift it so that it doesn't become this ongoing thing. So today I'm talking about how to stop that toxic pattern and what's underneath it. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm Ketra Thompson and I'm a certified master hypnotist and a relational recovery coach. So what I do is I help my clients address the issues in their life that are unwanted behaviors, unwanted feelings, really lack of momentum in certain areas. All of it can be traced back to subconscious programming. So we reframe those belief systems on a subconscious level, and that allows them finally get that forward movement that they're looking for to create the life they want, the love they want, and really to be free from these things that are holding them back. So if this content resonates with you, please consider hitting like and subscribe so that you can be notified every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the link in the description below. There is an easy way to just set up a complimentary, totally free consultation call with me so that you can learn more about this process, so that I can learn about what you're dealing with and going through, and so that we can see if we're a good fit to work together. So all of that is in the description below. So the fact is that whatever we think of over and over and over creates a stronger, more steady neural pathway in our brain. So being mad at the world and being mad at your circumstances is not abnormal. It happens, right? We're mad about things that don't go as planned or injustices that happen. But the problem is it's not healthy to stay there. And when we linger, we create this neural pathway that gets stronger and stronger, and so we can end up staying there a lot longer than we ever expected to and end up feeling really stuck. So let's talk just for a minute about these neural pathways and about early programming. So the neural pathways in your mind are like these roads, and the ones you go down the most over and over and over, you're taking these same thought patterns, they become really smooth and paved like a super highway. You can just fly down them without much thought at all. They're just really accessible to you and your brain goes there super fast. Now these other ones are like little dirt trails, or there are even roads that maybe you used before but you haven't in a long time, and now there's tumbleweeds growing out of them and it's difficult to go down those roads, and so the less you use them, the more overgrown they become. And so we want to choose where our thoughts go, because it's entirely possible to stop going down the super highway that you'd been going down and to begin going down the new path, or one that hasn't been used in a long time. And now that one becomes paved and smooth and easy. And the one that used to be the default, it starts to grow over and it's not as accessible to you. And it's one of the miraculous things about the human brain is that people used to believe that it couldn't change and it couldn't heal. And it's incredibly changeable. I guess that's the word, not the word I'm looking for, but it's absolutely changeable. You can mold and shape and change those connections that are happening in your brain so that your default becomes something different. It's sort of use it or lose it kind of mentality. You need to be consciously aware of this so you can make the shift. And the thing is, our early programming plays a big part in this. So we're basically in hypnosis from birth to age 7, and we're taking in all this information with no wisdom, with no discernment, and we're creating a belief system in our subconscious mind that's now driving our behavior, driving our fears, and sometimes creating chaos in our life. And it seems normal to us because it's always been that way. And so the lack of awareness that a lot of us have around what's driving those feelings and behaviors is because of the fact that it's been programmed so long ago. So once you have a realization of that, then you can change it. You can do something different and you can be proactive about it. So if you're one of those people that feels like you're stuck in a rut, like this pattern or this thing, this series of bad events has just been happening for year after year now. It just seems to be the new way of being. You just seem stuck. You can't quite find the momentum that you need to move forward and to shift up your life. Then you need to know that there is a way to change this, but it requires some proactive behavior on your part. So, step one to heal this whole thing is that you want to identify the story that you're telling yourself, even if it's not super obvious to you. So you want to slow way down, and you really want to start paying attention to what your subconscious mind is thinking and the assumptions it's making. If you were to write down all day all the assumptions you make about yourself, you would be shocked at the tiny moments where you're thinking without the words being present, but the feeling of this being present, where you're thinking, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. That was dumb. What the hell is wrong with me? This narrative that's programmed in your head, you might not even be aware how negative it is, and it is feeding a loop, and it is reinforcing those behaviors every time you go down that path mentally in your mind, even if you're not saying it out loud. So after you identify the story you're telling yourself and the negative thought patterns, step two is that you need to be able to process and reframe that. So you have to release the shame and the anger in a really healthy way, because it's there, it's valid, and it needs to be dealt with. If you're pissed off at the world, if you're pissed off at your circumstances, you need to release those feelings. So hypnotherapy work is amazing for this because it helps you process them subconsciously. And physical anger work can be really helpful, where you do a lot of actual movements with your body, taking a pillow and beating up your bed, really yelling and screaming it out into a pillow, and just physically getting a release of what you're holding inside of you, allowing yourself to feel your feelings, feel the grief, feel the anger. And now that you have identified the story you were telling yourself and you've processed what's going on inside of you in a healthy way by releasing that anger, you want to identify your feelings. And as those feelings are coming up, you want to be able to begin to tell yourself the truth about who you are, the truth that you're just a human doing the best you can, and you are capable of making these changes, right? Telling yourself a new story really does help. And it does take work because it doesn't come natural to you. It's not an easy process that we just do automatically. Now, the third step is deciding what the next smallest step is. That step 3 is making a decision about what is the next smallest step I can take to move me toward my goal. And that always lines up with being your most authentic self in the world. So if you're wearing a mask, if you're pretending, if you're thinking you have to play a role, you want to let go of that persona, because that's reinforcing this old belief system. So being authentic in the world is really important. And taking that intentional step toward being more vulnerable, stepping toward the things you're afraid of, that is the key to creating momentum. And this shifts the energy in your life, and it can start you on a new path. There is no wrong decision here, though, for the most part. Any new movement in a new direction can create shifts in your life. But I want to warn you that sometimes making a step creates a shift that is needed, but it isn't the final destination. So let's say you take a new job because you're frustrated in your old one, or income wasn't right or whatever, and you've been in this job now a year or two, but you're finding that it's excessive with its hours, you don't have the free time you need, you aren't able to give yourself your other needs that you have in life, you don't have a social life anymore, you aren't connecting to people. If that's the case, then it's time to take another step. You don't want to change one rut in for another rut, okay? So you want to be constantly tuned into yourself, constantly checking in with yourself, and asking yourself the tough questions. Is this satisfying me? Is this the best path for me right now? What's the next smallest step I could take to create another shift, another change, and some different momentum? Sometimes that's continuing the search for finding the right job. It's being proactive about setting aside time to fill out those applications and submit them. Sometimes it's prioritizing fun, setting aside that time so that you can actually connect with real people and have a life. And it feels weird at first, but it's needed. Maybe it's taking a class, maybe it's trying a new hobby, maybe it's going to a new restaurant. It doesn't matter. Shifts in new directions in your life, things that genuinely interest you, open up a different space for you to operate from. It creates a shift in your energy. Because the alternative is you just stay pissed off at the world. You just stay mad that things aren't going your way. You just keep saying things like, I guess this is just my new pattern. This is just where I'm at. I don't know, things just haven't changed forever. And you just keep reiterating all of those old beliefs that are keeping you stuck. I want to mention that this is best done with a guide. We are very blind to ourselves and our own things that have been going on in our mind for so long that we've taken them for granted as truth or normal. And so we aren't always very good at assessing ourselves fully. So when you have a guide, they can help you see those blind spots. They can help you identify those old patterns, and someone that's skilled, especially in trauma and integrating that trauma, can help you release it, reframe it, and go in a new direction. And that's what I do for all of my clients. So while yes, you can make these steps on your own, you can start this process on your own, and I encourage you to do it, because when you're ready to reach out for help, you'll be more prepared to receive it. But my clients come to me at a point where they have had enough. They are done messing around. They don't want this to happen anymore in their life, and they're ready for change. And that's perfect, because when they're ready for change, they're open and they're really determined that they are going to create this change, which allows us more access into the subconscious mind so that I can allow them to get to the place they need to go subconsciously so they can reframe those belief systems, so now they can have a new operating system. Because remember, the subconscious mind drives over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. So this is deep work, and in many ways it's very holistic. It always addresses the issue that someone comes to me for, but it always addresses other issues too. Because this is dealing with your operating system, the way you see yourself in the world. And when you create more connection to your self-worth and real empowerment, you see the ripple effects in almost every area of your life. So if you're ready to make that shift, set up that consultation call. It's totally free. The link is below. And all I can say is I have never regretted the investments I have made in myself. People come and go from our lives. Jobs come and go from our lives. Big purchases like furniture or cars come and go from our lives, but we are the constant. We don't leave our lives. So we are the best ones that we can invest our time, energy, and money into so that we can have the best experience in this life. So until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.